We always ask, how is it possible that our planet has life when all the other ones look empty and lifeless? But the basic laws of probability are telling a different story to what we tend to believe. I mean, yeah, it's possible that our sphere is really unique and it's special and it's the only one with life when all the other spheres are empty, but statistically speaking, that's not the answer. And you're probably thinking, I know what he's going to say. He'll say that it's likely that life has slowly evolved on other planets as well. But if you really think about it, that's not very probable either, because having some planets with life and others without life, that's just not very consistent and not very likely compared to the following point. You see, it makes a lot more sense for all the spheres to be the same, including our sphere. From a pure statistical standpoint, it's way more likely that all the spheres, including our own, are exactly the same. It's like looking at a big orchard full of orange trees, and one single orange on one of the trees has all these different colors. It's got blue dots on one side, red lines on the other, purple squares at the top, green squiggly lines on all sides, but not a hint of orange color anywhere. I mean, you could argue that it's possible that an orange like this could exist. It's just not very probable. An orange is just a lot more likely to look like an orange. The same is true for our planet. I mean, yeah, it's possible that our planet has life and everything else is dead, but it's not probable in the slightest. So if we go with what's probable, all the spheres need to be exactly the same. It's really just a question of, is our planet just as empty as all the other ones, or are all the other ones just as alive as our planet? Because there's really only two options here. It's either all the spheres, including our own, are lifeless, or all the spheres, including our own, are full of life. Now, the first option doesn't make a lot of sense because we're all here talking about it. So we know it's not the lifeless option, which leaves us with option 2, which is every single sphere out there being alive just like us. But if that's the case, where did everybody go? If you're having trouble relating to something like this, it's because it doesn't line up with your personal experience. We see our sphere with life and all the other ones around us with no life whatsoever. So the idea of absolutely every sphere being alive just like us, it doesn't feel real. But here's what needs to happen for us to understand what's out there. Instead of saying we see our planet is alive and the others aren't, so that's how it is, try asking, if all the other spheres need to be alive because it makes more sense and it's more probable, then why can't we see it? Why can't we see that life? And that question alone, if you keep asking it, the answer will jump at you so fast because this answer was waiting for you to ask the right question for so long that it can't help but jump at you. The laws of statistics and probability are saying, hey, you know how you can't see anything past your own atmosphere? Well, we're telling you that there's definitely more there. So you need to ask why your eyes and your senses aren't working out there instead of just accepting it. The moment you do, the answer will be there, as it always has been, staring you right in the face. As humans, the biggest mistake we've ever made, and we keep making that mistake, is assuming that what we see is in fact what's there. You've got a what you see is what you get type of approach inside a universe where what you see is sometimes the opposite of what you get, then you're going to run into some problems. But understanding that there's a discrepancy between what we see and what's really there, it doesn't tell us anything about what is actually out there. The only logical way to understand something that's beyond our sight and our senses is to ask ourselves, is there any type of situation or process in nature that we know of where it's possible to see one thing, but there's something else there that's not visible until it is? So you tell me, is there a situation in nature, our scale here, not the planetary scale, where an organism is seeing one thing, but what they're seeing is not the full story? In fact, what they're seeing is a very limited version of their own surroundings, their own environment, their own reality. And once you realize what that very natural process is, the real question then becomes, can we apply the same features that characterize this process to our planetary situation? Think of your own brain cells and imagine what it was like for your neural network inside the womb. See, when you were just a tiny fetus, your brain cells were exposed to a very specific kind of reality. Now, to envision this with me, I need you to not think of the womb from the perspective of the fetus. I need you to try and think about it from the perspective of that fetus's neural network. Now you might say, well, how can we compare our brain cells to ourselves? How can we know what they experience, or even if they experience anything, or if they have any consciousness or awareness of their own? When we think of brain cells, we think of this. We don't think of this. But the whole point of what I'm asking you to consider is that the way we see brain cells might not be how they see themselves. So instead of assuming we know everything there is to know about neural networks, let's just try and consider the circumstance of those brain cells, your brain cells, back when you were inside your mother's womb. Or even better, let's see if we can take the circumstance of that neural network and put it next to our own circumstance and see if anything sounds familiar. Wait, you don't think it's possible our planet is a fetus that's currently inside the womb? No? Have you noticed how our planet is dependent on life from an outside source? I mean, our planet is its own sphere, but this sphere can't live without this bigger sphere we call the sun. So if the bigger sphere is sustaining the smaller sphere, do you really want to be that person that says, our smaller sphere is more alive than the bigger sphere that's giving us our life? And why? Because all we see is an unlivable environment with hot plasma bursting in every direction? The main problem with that sentence is the all we see part. Are you willing to throw away the answer because of all we see? Yeah, I'm pretty sure deep inside our planet is also really hot and unlivable. So could it possibly be that when we look over at this raging fireball we call the sun, what we're seeing is the inner layers, and what we're not seeing is the outer layers, which will include the sun's crust with solid mountains and hills and rivers and vegetation and animals and people? If we're currently experiencing a situation where our planet is quite literally inside a womb, then that will mean that nature will be holding back those layers of life, because that's the exact point and purpose of the womb, being isolated from all other life until it's time to join them. This means that absolutely everything, without exception, will be very much alive all around us. So what we see as empty crusts and harsh, unlivable environments will actually be lush, beautiful, amazing natural life of the same kind we find here. How can we know that life out there is similar to life here? Because if the sun is sustaining us, that means the sun and the earth are compatible. They're both the same thing. And you almost missed it because you hadn't realized that the situation itself is all about not seeing what's actually there. I mean, come on. The chance of our planet being alive while all the other spheres around us just happen to be lifeless, it's just so silly. It's like, yay, we won the life lottery. Not only did we not win the life lottery, we're the new kids on the block. We're brand new. So new that our planet isn't even born yet. So new that we think we're more alive than the thing that's giving us our life. Yikes. But you know what? I'm willing to go out on a limb here and say there hasn't been a single fetus of any species on this sphere and every other single sphere out there that didn't believe that they were the only thing in existence, up until that amazing moment where they learned that the literal opposite was actually the case. And if you're wondering, how could it ever be possible that we can see the inner layers of the sun without the outer layers blocking them? And the answer is actually very straightforward. If the Earth's relationship to the sun is dictated by the process of gestation, then how and why in the world would nature let us see those outer layers? In fact, if another planet in the same situation as us would look right at the surface of our planet, what do you think they're going to see? They'll see absolutely nothing but an empty crust, because seeing us is the equivalent of you seeing someone else's brain cells. That's just not going to happen. So why would the Earth's neural network be allowed to see the sun's neural network? Or any other planet or stars while we're at it? So when you're moving around the surface of our planet, don't forget that what we're seeing out there is exactly what nature wants us to see, which is completely dependent on our planet's current situation. And when that situation just happens to be the process of gestation, you won't be seeing a whole lot. But if you're still struggling with the concept of a terrestrial planet being a planet, but also a normal fetus at the same time, then you can watch my other videos where I go into more detail. Now, I'll leave you with the following food for thought. If I'm right and our planet's inside the womb, then the following observation from our past becomes really important. Would you say it's just a happy coincidence that in one of the most profound descriptions of our collective future, it says that the oceans that surround our planet, the same oceans that we take for granted as an inseparable part of life on Earth, we hear that in the future, these oceans will all disappear. Our scale We call it embryonic fluid, but at the neural network scale, they call it the oceans. And just like a fetus says goodbye to embryonic fluid, so will we say goodbye to all oceans when our planet is born and everything changes forever. Did you really think it was a coincidence that our planet just happens to be all alone, surrounded by darkness, getting its life from an outside source, and wrapped in a salty life-supporting fluid? I mean, you didn't really think our Creator would let us miss the most important natural process there is. Being born as individuals is great, but seeing it happen from the inside, that's not a recommendation. It's an obligation.